Thank you so much for being here for our day 3. We're going to focus today, go back on the offensive side of the football, offensive line play, running back play, quarterback play, and wide receiver play. We'll, again, at the end, go through an NFL flag scrimmage with your kids and go from there offensively. From a character education standpoint, we're going to focus on 2 of our points of pride today. Those 2 points of pride are the word noble and the word ferocious. And our definitions for noble are this: we have a responsibility to do what is right, ethical, and honorable. We behave with integrity, honesty, and sportsmanship woven through all of our actions, and we accept responsibility for them. So going back to what I mentioned yesterday about the elm tree of mastery, effort, learning, and it's okay to make mistakes, we tell your kids today, you know what? If you mess up, you fess up. And so that's what being noble is. We accept the responsibility for our actions, and we're going to make mistakes, as we talked about yesterday. And so, but it's okay to admit the mistakes and move on and learn from that. And so we're going to talk about that with your children today. We're also going to talk about the word ferocious, which to us means this: we tackle all challenges and opportunities with equal amounts of passion, poise, humility, and energy. Our relentless drive for team success powers and inspires us to give our best effort in every endeavor. So you can see with the word choices that we used in these definitions, they all relate back to effort, learning, mistakes, the elm tree of mastery that we talked about yesterday. And so in our own way, we're trying to preach that methodology, if you will, through the choices of the definitions that we've used in our points of pride. So again, we'll give away point of pride wristbands to those who our coaches feel have exemplified those characteristics within the camp here tonight. What I want to talk about right now is a study that was done. It's not been now 10 years ago, but I think it's so good that it talks about, bottom line, why kids play sports. Why kids play sport. 9 out of 10 kids said they play sports because it's fun. Okay? That's the number one reason they participate in sport. But they went on to say that there's 81 different definitions of what fun meant to them. Here are the top 6 reasons that kids said that playing sports was the most fun. Number 1, trying your best. Number 2, when coach treats player with respect. 3, getting playing time. Number 4, playing well together as a team. 5, getting along with your teammates. And 6, exercising and being active. Those are the top 6 reasons why kids play sports. George Washington University did this study 10 years ago now. And on the flip side of that coin, the lesser fun things, if you will. Number 81, the last one, kids don't really care to get pictures taken. It's not very fun for them. Number 73, they don't really care to travel to new places to play. 67, most fun thing, earning medals and trophies. 66, practicing with specialty trainers or coaches. 63, playing in tournaments. And number 48, I think this is interesting. Number 48, so there's 47 more things that are more important to kids than this. 48 was winning. 47 more things that are more fun to kids than winning. And so bring that up is because children mostly want a venue to be able to try their best. And while they often wanted to know the score, just like I mentioned on Monday, my daughter had moved on 10 minutes after the game was over. It was me in the car that asked her all these questions and couldn't understand why. She had moved on. It was me as a parent who wanted to talk about it on the ride home or dinner that night. And that misalignment in adult and child priorities is really what's going to drive my conversation with you tomorrow. And we'll talk about why kids walk away from sport. And so I just thought it was a very interesting study that was done. And so we as coaches got to try to find ways to present the game in a manner that kids are going to have fun. That's why I said on Monday that our number one priority in what we do here is for the kids to have fun. And then, oh, by the way, hopefully they learn some fundamentals. And oh, by the way, they learn some character education along the way. And so why kids enjoy playing sports. 9 out of 10 kids said they play sports because it's fun. Here's my parent challenge for today, okay? It's titled, Understanding Your Role at Every Game. Let me know if you've heard these comments before, whether you're in the stands as a coach, you're in the stands and as a spectator, whether you're coaching, whether you're an official, or even way back when you were a player in whatever sport. Let me know if you heard something like this. All right, throw strikes. Get the glove down. Keep your elbow up. Move your feet. She's open. He's open. Hands together. We've probably all heard those types of comments from the stands or wherever else. Maybe a little bit easier to hear those comments in other sports like baseball and softball, and basketball, things like that. Things like that, but you get the hint there. I don't know if you've ever attended a track meet or a cross-country meet. What do you hear from spectators? Everyone rooting for everyone to perform their best. Okay, I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other sports, but when you go to track meets or cross-country meet, they're all rooting for everybody to do their best. They're rooting for that first place on the 3,200 meter. They're rooting for that last person who's 2 laps behind for them to do their best. Everyone's cheering them on. Doesn't matter the school that they're from, they're cheering them on. But you never hear in a cross-country meet or a track meet say, run faster, run faster. You never hear that. Okay? Like I said earlier, rooting for everybody to do their best. Why can't that be the case in other youth sports? Just something to think about. But the topic today is, again, understanding your role in sport. And there's 4 main roles in any sport. That's the player, that's the coach, that's the official or referee, and that's a spectator. Okay? If you're a coach, you coach the team. If you're a player, you play in the game. If you're an official, you officiate the game. If you're a spectator, you watch the game. Hopefully you cheer the kids on, the participants on. So I want you to put yourself in a role as if you were attending your child's game, whatever sport it might be. You're the spectator, okay? As a spectator, your coaching and playing experience are irrelevant, okay? You're still a spectator even though you might have been good enough to play in college 20 years ago. You're still a spectator if your child's coach just simply doesn't have as much experience as you do. You're still a spectator if you've been around the game and you know what you're talking about. Bottom line, if you're not coaching your child's team, okay, you should really have no right to call and coach from the sidelines, okay? So, because what I want to bring up now is, what does sideline spectator coaching do to all those roles within the game? Let me tell you about what it does. To the player, sideline coaching confuses the player with conflicting instructions. Not only are they listening to the coach, and you more than likely, probably as a parent, probably haven't been at every practice. You don't know exactly what they're asking that child to do. So they're hearing from the coach, but on this side, they're hearing from the parent. And as their child, they probably, again, want to listen to you because you're mom and dad. But at the same time, if it's conflicting based on what coach is saying, they're being pulled in 2 different directions. That's not fair to your child. It's not fair. But it also, going back to what we talked about yesterday, the elm tree of mastery, understanding that it's okay to make mistakes, it takes away their decision-making abilities within the game, okay, which is a huge part of development of a child. And so make sure that you understand that, again, the effort, the learning, and the mistakes are going to happen on the field, in practice, in game competitions, stuff like that. Don't take away that decision-making ability that they need for future opportunities to be successful in that sport. What does sideline spectator coaching do to a coach? What does sideline spectator coaching do to the coach that is coaching your children? Well, it takes authority and respect away from the coach. Your child might look up to that coach as being somebody they look up to because of the way they present the game, the fun they're having at practice, whatever it might be. Now, if you're criticizing what's being said or the plays being called, and telling your child that, you're taking that away from that respect and authority from that coach. But you know darn well, many coaches hear that spectator coaching, that sideline coaching. And ultimately, the coach, to be honest with you, may have a different perception of your child based on what you in the stands are saying. And that might affect their playing time. So just consider that as well. What does sideline spectator coaching do to officials, referees? Frankly, it makes them worse. It makes them worse because they're going to just deteriorate when they're yelled at, more times than not. But oftentimes, the yelling at officials takes place because so much emphasis is placed on the outcome of the game. If we go back and talk about not focusing necessarily on the outcome of the game, but the process and that it takes to play within the game, the vitriol for the officials is much less or much more reduced. And so, after all, it's just a game. So keep that in mind as well. What does sideline spectator coaching do to spectators? Okay, it creates an uncomfortability around for everybody. I was one of those parents that maybe not the vitriol towards officials or anything, but I'd always be saying, "Ah, what is she doing? Why is she not doing that? Do this." Guess what? My wife's sitting right next to me and making the experience for her miserable. Finally realized what I was doing. I said, I'm not doing that again. It's not fair to her. It's not fair to her. And also, you're representing your name, your child, the school that or the team that your child plays on, okay? And what kind of reputation do you want to leave with your child based on your actions in the stands and so forth? So I think that's something to remember as well. I'd argue that's not fair to your child. And then lastly, what does it do? Let me go back and talk about the officials. I forgot one here, okay? Or actually, I forgot two on the officials. Without referees, without officials, if we're driving them out of the game, all right, guess what? We need officials and referees for our kids to play. Bottom line, we do. At all levels. So don't drive officials and referees out of the game based on your actions. The other thing, too, I'll mention about officials, sideline coaching, you're blaming officials. That's a terrible call. Come on, how could you make that call? Again, all you're doing there is passing the blame on somebody else. They're officials, too. They are people, too. They make mistakes, too. Yes, maybe it affected your team in a way. Oh, well, it's a game. And so keep that in mind when you're thinking about that sideline spectator coaching, okay? What should parents do as a spectator? Really simple, I think. Just watch the game and encourage the players. It means enjoying the game, loving every minute. Like I said the other day, some of those phrases that we use to tell our kids before they go out and play. Tell them I love to watch them. I love to watch them play. Clapping and cheering for the team. It doesn't take much, but it goes a long way for those kids out there. Making sure you're supporting new coaches, just like you would support new kids that are coming out to try a particular sport. Okay? Good coaches are learning too, just like the kids are. And so many times coaches step up to do the job because no one else will do it. So keep that in mind. They're more than likely they're just volunteers providing their time. And they're just doing it so the kids can play within the community for that team. All to provide an opportunity for the kids to play. Everyone's got to start somewhere, coaches included. But as soon as you stand out from the crowd more times than not, usually you're doing something wrong. I think you can stand out in front of the crowd as a spectator cheering on when you're cheering them on. All right, providing all that support, whether it's your child or anybody else. Okay, here's the point. Really, what I'm getting at is when spectators are yelling from the sideline, they're making the sporting experience less enjoyable for everybody involved. And if you can understand your spectator as a role, or your role as a spectator, excuse me, because you know what, your kids, as I said the other day, aren't going to be playing youth sports forever. Just sit back, enjoy the game, and cheer them on. Love to watch your child perform, and let the coaches do the coaching. Again, I've said it before the last couple of days. I'm not here to tell you how to parent. But at the same time, I just want you to be aware of what sideline spectator coaching can do to all those levels, all those roles within the game. And if we're trying to present, I'm trying to present to you this week positive youth sports experiences that can make it better for everybody. Just simply want you to be aware of that. All right. Now I've got a couple parent points to ponder, and I'll leave it at that. We'll pass out the conversation cards. Parent points to ponder. You will spend the majority of your life knowing your children as adults. But for a brief moment, you will get the chance to know them as kids. Cherish every moment. Lastly, one day all your children will have is pictures of you. Make sure you're in them. No matter what your hair looks like, what your makeup is, what you're wearing, or the shape of your body, it doesn't matter. They won't care about any of that. All they want to see is you. So keep that in mind. Be there for your kids. I know you are. That's why you're spending the time here with them, watching them and dropping them off and being a part of what they're doing. Continue to be a part of their lives. continue to make a difference in their life. Continue to think about the things we've talked about here in this parent meeting, and see if you can apply and give it a try. Apply some of those techniques and ways of approaching youth sports. I think if you give it a try, not only are you going to enjoy the experience that much more, but your kids will as well. And because, again, tomorrow we're going to talk about why kids walk away from sports. And unfortunately, us parents are some of the reasons why kids walk away from sports. And I don't want that to be the case. But we at least have to be aware of the issues before we can make that change. Okay? We're going to pass out the trading cards, the conversation cards right now. We do have 2 of them, both noble and ferocious. And we're going to get started with your kids. I got about a minute left. Any comments, any questions? Quiet. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Let's come out in here and break it down. All right? There are 2 different ones there, so make sure you grab those. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Here we go. 1 pride on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
1 pride.
Thanks, parents. Thank you very much.